I do not encourage nor condone any of the actions performed or products shown in this video. All of the videos are produced in a safe and controlled environment. Do not attempt to replicate any of the actions performed during this video.
Hello beautiful people from the internet, it is Connie over here. Welcome back to another video, and today we are in my room. It is nighttime, it's raining outside. It is so cold that up until a few moments ago I was wearing gloves inside of the house, and I have a chunky glass of wine that I'm going to be drinking alongside this smoke. And I'm going to be freestyling my thoughts of 2025, reflections, my expectations for 2026. I haven't really thought too much about this. I would usually journal before I recorded the video, but I just felt like I wanted to record this for you guys today, so cheers. This wine is pretty smooth. It is from Alentejo, if I'm not mistaken. That's usually the wine that my dad has at home. I have my candle lighter, or my, I suppose, stove lighter, and I also have my ashtray here. And man, when I tell you I haven't really thought about this, I really haven't thought too much about this just yet, you know. 2025 was a year of conflict, just mess, complication, death, loss. You know, it was a very, very difficult year for me. And I feel like I started the year very hopeful. And it's very nice to see the video that I made at the beginning of last year, or this year I suppose, because I was so eager to get through a lot of my issues and just put myself out there more, which I ended up doing a lot because I was forced to do so, which ended up being positive anyway in the end. I remember that at the beginning of this year, something that I really wanted to do was to become a more calm person, a calmer person. I remember that I had two goals. One quantitative goal, which was to read 24 books, and I ended up reading 26 books this year. I'll put all of the titles here, but I'm really happy with my reading progress for the year. I feel like I have read a lot of really cool books that are going to stay with me for a very long time, if not forever. You know, these are stories that I'm very attached to and that I hold very close. And I feel like having this numeric goal that was neither too easy nor too overwhelming kept me on track. I only had to read 2 books per month, and so I just kept pushing a little bit. You know, I don't feel like reading today, but you know, I have this goal that I would like to achieve by the end of the year, so let me just read 1 page. And then when you read 1 page, you most of the times will want to read another one, and maybe another one, and maybe you've read 20 pages in that day and you were not even expecting to read 1, you know. So just setting small goals in order to achieve your bigger goal, I think, is very important, and that's what I kept doing this year with books. And I ended up getting a lot of really nice culture inside of my brain, and so I'm really happy that I did that. And then I had a qualitative goal. I don't know if that's what you call it, but it was my goal of becoming calmer. And I can say with a big degree of confidence that I have finished 2025 a calmer person than the one that I was at the beginning of the year. I have realized that I am less quick to react with anxiety and anger, and I am more prone to sit back and think about the situation before I have a very extreme reaction to it. You know, talking about normal day-to-day situations, of course if you're going through an extreme situation, then that is very, very difficult and a total different story. But I used to have anxiety even in the simplest of things of the daily life, and I feel like now I don't panic as much anymore. I can go into any store and ask for anything that I would need, which may seem very easy to most people, but for me this was a very, very difficult thing to do. I was very scared of judgment, of not knowing how to do something and have to ask for help. And I feel like I am not that type of person anymore. I can now admit that I need help and go and ask for it to whoever it may be. And I feel confident asking questions and just allowing myself to be perceived as someone who does not know everything, you know? which is a very good thing because obviously nobody knows everything, but I feel like for a lot of years I wanted to seem that I had my stuff together and I knew what was going on, and I feel like now I'm way less scared to show that I don't, you know. Most of the time I don't really know what's going on. Most of the time I would like some input from another human being just to see what other opinions there are on whatever is going on, you know, so I can also expand my horizons of thought and not be so stuck into one lane, you know, or one road. This year I went through a lot of difficult things and a lot of extreme situations towards which I didn't react very well. There was a period in the summer where my cat had just died, and then my dad became very, very, very ill and we didn't know what was going on. We were going back and forth from hospital, spending nights awake, trying to understand why he was having so much pain. It turned out to be a kidney stone, but this took 2 weeks of sleepless nights and just running around to try and figure out, you know. And then as this was happening, my car got hit by a tree, so I lost my main transportation method, and I had to figure it out some other ways while I was going from hospital to my dad's house to take care of him and all of that. And then just as things were settling down a little bit, the house that I grew up in got sold, which was a very big hit, and it made everyone in the family very sad, as you can understand. Then while my house was getting sold, one of my aunts had become very suddenly, unexpectedly ill, and she eventually passed away less than a month after that, which was a very big shock for the family and me included. And then at the end of it all, at the end of the year, I broke off my relationship of 4 years, and so it was just a very long process of loss after loss after loss. And especially during the summer when I was having the situation with my dad and my car, I know that I didn't react in the calmest of ways. I was not eating properly, I was not sleeping at all, I was very, very panicky. I didn't know what was going on. I was thinking of the worst outcome. So there were definitely points throughout the year in which I was not able to stay calm, you know. But I feel like these situations have pushed me to limits of anxiety that I hadn't really been pushed for a long time. And so I feel like I have learned a lot from it, you know. And so I feel like one thing that I really learned this year is that I have to try as best as I can to control my anxious reaction, because becoming so anxious like I did doesn't help with thinking about what things need to be done, and it doesn't really help getting things done, you know. I often became paralyzed throughout that time, and I couldn't really move or do anything because I was too scared. I didn't know what was going on. Things were very uncertain, and I was afraid that everything was going to turn out for the worst. But I feel like something that I really learned is that next time I have some extreme situation to go through, I have to just breathe and try to remain as collected as possible so that I can act in the best ability that I can at the current state of mind that I will be. This is going to be the work of a lifetime, you know. No one becomes a totally calm person from one year to the next, but all I wanted really was to feel like I had become at least a little bit calmer, and that I feel like I have done. So this was a year of a lot of loss, but also a year that I can look back on with a smile on my face, knowing that it was difficult, but I'm still standing, you know, I'm still here. And I'm ready to move forward, and with a better attitude, with more calm inside of my heart, knowing that I will be able to surpass situations as they come, as long as I can think rationally about things and try to remain as collected as I can, I think. One of the things that I wanted to do, that I said at the beginning of this year, was going to Porto, because I really wanted to put myself out there and visit some other places in my country or elsewhere. And I didn't end up going to Porto, but unexpectedly I ended up going on my first flight ever, and I got myself to Spain with my friends, where we attended the best concert of my life, which was Radiohead, on November 8th in Movistar Arena. I can tell you that if you told me at the beginning of 2025 that I would end up this year having gone on my first flight, having gone to another country with only my friends, no responsible adults, well, I guess we are the responsible adults now, but you know, no premium adults, you know what I'm saying? And I would have seen my favorite band live alongside my favorite people, I would have told you, absolutely not. I will not get on a plane. I will not go to another country. I'm simply too afraid. But the thing is that everything happened so quickly, you know, from knowing that they were touring to realizing that we wanted to get tickets, and it was only 2 months later that the concerts were going to be happening, you know. I didn't have enough time to really panic about it. It was more like seeing that they were touring, getting the tickets, booking the Airbnb, and getting to Spain, you know. So I feel like if I had more time to be anxious about it, I might have doubted and possibly not end up going. So I'm really happy that I didn't have too much time to think too much about it, and I ended up having possibly the best day of my life so far, having taken this chance that I would have never thought I would have been able to do, you know. So it was a year of conquering anxiety, of conquering fears. I feel like I am no longer afraid of going on a flight and going to another country. I am way more eager to explore more now. This was a year of expanding my social circle quite a lot. I stopped being so afraid of making new friends because you can possibly lose them, and losing people is very painful. And I was always very afraid of becoming attached to people because I was already thinking about the moment where I would lose them. And I was not thinking about the awesome amount of experiences and times that I'm going to have with them while they are still in my life, you know. People come and go, and you will lose a lot of people in your life, and it will hurt a lot. But the amount of good things that you will experience from beginning to end is really what matters, you know. And I have lost so many people in my life, but I have such beautiful memories with them that I wouldn't have had I not taken the chance to get to know them, you know. And I always say the same thing, the amount of pain that you feel towards a loss is probably a good measure for how much you loved having this person around, you know. And so it is totally worth to risk getting your heart broken a little bit here and there, just so that you can have these memories and these experiences and these people in your life for whatever time you have with them, you know. This was also the year where I got my electric guitar, and I started playing guitar more seriously, and electric guitar too. Not just the electric, but I also have my classic guitar here, which I have been playing quite a lot and learning new songs and evolving my skill. I took a chance with piano, and I'm now studying my pieces for the 7th grade of the piano learning system, and I'm going to finish my piano degrees possibly next year or 2 years from now when I finish my grade 8. And I'm going to get my first piano, my very own piano, in a couple of days that I'm going to have here in my room, and just be able to play as much as I would like for as long as I would like, whatever hour of the day I would like, you know. So it was a year of very big steps too, and I'm really proud of myself, you know. The truth is that if you are watching this, no matter how tough your year has been, you are here on the other side of the screen. You're standing, you're smiling, possibly. Maybe you feel a little bit nostalgic, maybe you feel a little bit melancholic, but these state of mind will pass, just like happiness doesn't last forever. Sadness can't either, you know. You will have a lot of fluctuations of emotions throughout your life, and that is going to be so pleasant to go through and to look back on. And we have all arrived at the end of the year alive, and we are ready to start another one. And I'm very proud of you as well for being here watching this video. All right, I acknowledge you. I know you've been through some tough shit, but you're here, all right? And you've made great efforts in order to surpass your difficulties, and I am proud of that, and cheers. And with that, my friends, I'm going to go edit this video so I can put it up as the year ends. This has been a very, very big year for me, and I'm excited to see what 2026 holds. I hope I reach the end of 2026 having read 24 more books and being even calmer than I feel like I have become throughout this year. And I hope we enjoy our times, all right? Life is only to be lived once. Do something that you enjoy with your time, because you don't have that much left, all right? And I am rooting for you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!